I think the best place to start when discussing this topic is the hard, concrete numbers in regards to the virus and its state in Japan right now. So I pulled up the figures off of the WHO website, which everybody has access to. There's a big mega thread on Reddit that links to this. And in Japan right now, there are 186 cases confirmed. There's 22 new. This was the February 28th report. I believe they do one every single day. And the total deaths from it has increased to 3. So when you have a population of, I think, somewhere near 126 million people, it's not a massive number, but of course it's cause for concern. And then moving from those numbers, the place that I could speak with the most authority from is exactly what's happening in the day-to-day here, how things have evolved and what has been done. So I work in the education system here, and to begin with, when things started to appear as though they were getting worse, as soon as there were reported cases, then in the schools, they did a couple of very, very basic things, but I think are very good ideas. One of which is that they'd insisted that every one of us was wearing a mask. And then you would see at times like school lunch, you would have all the desks where usually they form lunch groups with all of the students. Instead of that, what they're doing is that they're to sit individually for obvious reasons that would spread any sort of contact that people have with each other. Now, the big news, which left some kind of like speculation for people as to how exactly it would be educated or executed, I should say, that occurred in the last day or so was Abe announcing, the country's prime minister announcing on TV that he would ask that all schools would be closed. Now that led to some people predicting perhaps that when he was asking them that it's more of a suggestion, but I would say in Japanese culture, when your boss asks that you do something, that usually means he's or she is telling you to do that thing. And then I'm quite happy to say that the immediate response in the school district that I am a part of now has been to carry through with that order. So as of March 2nd until the end of March, perhaps, I mean, this is the state, it may change from this, but in that time, there will be no more school in terms of the students coming in. Now, the staff members are still, for the time being, expected to go to the schools. That may still change, but that is the state of things immediately as they are now. The students will be on a kind of vacation. Now, obviously, that's upsetting at this time of year for a lot of the Japanese families because this is graduation time for the Japanese here. And so whether it's in any grade, this is when, if you were a part of a graduating class, that you would go on and have some kind of a ceremony. And that has been adjusted at the schools, I think, again, in a very intelligent way, where they do still want to have it. But I believe, in fact, I know now, because this is what was announced in our school district, was that when they will conduct these graduation ceremonies, they'll be limited to the graduating class, and certain rituals, certain traditions, you would say, won't be carried out. For example, where they're passing things around, they won't be doing that. It'll be an abridged version, essentially, of what they would normally be doing. So the graduation has been affected in that way. Then, as you've probably seen in any other news source, why this is another difficult question is because, of course, there's a lot of people that are going to have to scramble to figure out what to do if they're away at work, when their children would normally be at school, how are they going to responsibly handle this time now that their kids are at home? It's a difficult question, but I think everyone would agree that it's a necessary step. And I have to say, having observed things as they've progressed so far, I'm quite happy. In some ways, I suppose I'm proud of the Japanese people and the government's response to this, to treat it so seriously, because it's not so serious until it explodes. You see a massive flare-up, whether that's somewhere like Italy, had an explosion of cases. It's very bad in Korea right now, and far better to take preemptive action with some inconvenience rather than who knows the incredible implications of if this were to grow to a state where it was far more out of control. So I think that they've made a good decision. I think they've acted on it intelligently. I live in the countryside, so this is how they're acting out in the boonies, so to speak, where I'm about 2 hours away from any case that was, I believe in Chiba Prefecture there were confirmed cases, and I'm about 2 hours away from there, and they're still taking these kind of precautions. And I absolutely think that treating something like this with grave seriousness is exactly what you want to do. Aside from that, how have things continued? One thing that I found strange today, I put it on my story, was that there are some essentials immediately after this news came that went missing off of the shelves in stores, which I thought was a little bit strange. And I do see it as, if you take a step back objectively of the way that rumors affect things, not a rumor obviously that the virus is spreading, but that certain essentials will be more needed than others. So what happened was, if you go into any place now for miles around, if you weren't right on top of it right after the news is announced, there's no more toilet paper. And I don't know where people got the idea that the supply chain for toilet paper will be immediately cut off. So I don't know why there was such a panic to get that. And you know that it started from, it is a viral idea that somebody said toilet paper is one of the amenities that you need to have. And so then that spread from person to person until I find myself going out because, everybody said that toilet paper is going missing. But of course it's off all of the shelves now, and I can't get my hands on any toilet paper. Although I am stocked up, but I feel like I've missed out on something. One other consideration that I'd give to this, my thoughts, since it is my thoughts and what I've observed in it, is that I was talking to a friend today who I would say, of all countries to be in, I think there is something that's really beautiful about Japanese collectivism, in that if you are going to be somewhere in the world, even though this could be identified as one of the more dangerous, because we have such close proximity to Korea, which is a major zone right now, obviously China on our doorstep. But the way that people behave here as a result of collectivism and whatever other forces exist within their culture is to, in times of great difficulty, still look after each other. And so I don't as well fear for I don't fear for a breakdown in the way that people will treat each other or behave, aside from a little bit of excessive toilet paper buying. But I would imagine if times get difficult here, if it does continue to be something far more serious than it's already become, then I have confidence that this is a place, were there something like this happen, that I would like to be, whether it's obviously to support the relationships around me, but as I say, the way that I believe that people will treat each other if things are difficult. So that is the state of coronavirus as it pertains to my experience here in Japan. I think they've made a great decision, difficult though it may be, for the schools to shut down to prevent that kind of, one more way that it could spread very, very rapidly. I have confidence in the Japanese people, as I've known them for the 7 years that I've lived here, and the culture that I've observed. If things do increase in severity and how bad they are, I think people are going to still treat each other well. And I hope for here and the rest of the world that this is something that, historically bad as it may be, will pass as quickly as it can with responsible action taken. It is something I think worth saying that it is historical. I've seen references to something like the Spanish flu, and there are things that may have had greater fatality rates. They were far more deadly than what this is now, but never before, I believe, have we had an outbreak of this severity where we've been quite so interconnected, where it spread so quickly. Our technology is, well, it can work for us, is working against us. At this time, that everybody is moving so rapidly around the world that we've likely never seen anything like this before. A final thing that I might add, and how the virus is going to affect different parts of the world, and Japan especially. And another reason that I respect that they've treated it so seriously here is that if you know anything about Japan's demographics, it's that this has one of the largest elderly populations in the entire world. And so in that way, probably one of the most vulnerable to this disease, where chances are, like, a lot of young people who have a strong immune system are going to do fine. It's not them that it's going to be fatal for, but for the Japanese that have such a massive gray hair population, not like I'm not joining them soon, it is a real concern. Like, I don't think you would find in, say, for example, Canada, where I'm from, where it's a quite young country. So perhaps if it grows in severity, I might offer some more thoughts to give a kind of an on-the-ground opinion of what exactly is happening here. But until that point, I wanted to let people know who do watch the channel, whether solicited or unsolicited, let you know how it is that I'm doing here and what I've observed. But I would say, as well as it could be going, it is. So take care wherever you are. Wash your hands. Wear a mask, whatever it is that you may need to do to protect yourself. Don't panic. Inform yourself. If you go on the WHO, then you can check out whatever information might pertain to you in your region of the world. And aside from that, nothing much to say. So I'll catch you guys in the next video.